The reason I do these YouTubes and podcasts is to help you in the areas that you're struggling, or at least show you some techniques that work. So it's helpful for me when I get an email that suggests a topic that would be helpful to you. So I got one from Blake. I'm going to read that and then I'm going to talk it through. Mr. Whipple, I don't mean to overload your emails, but as I'm listening through your podcast, it had me wondering what your daily and weekly schedule looked like, specifically your daily schedule from start to finish. I don't know if it would make a good podcast. I don't know either. I guess we're going to find out. And a YouTube. But I feel like many others would also like to see what your daily schedule or weekly schedule is like and how you do all that you do. Okay, so let me take a day here, and I'm looking at my calendar. And it's pretty filled throughout the week. So Tuesday, and this is not uncommon, this is the longest day I do, but the rest of them aren't very different. And then I want to talk about how you end up doing a schedule like this, and how you plan what you in fact want to do. So I get up usually 4:30 to 5 in the morning. I'm an early riser, as you can imagine. So my first call on Tuesday was a client call, a mentee call, 6:45 in the morning, and all of these are just about an hour. So 6:45 was the first one. So 6:45 to 7:45, a little bit of a break. You got to do some administrative stuff. 8:15, another mentee hour call. Another break from 9:15 until 10, where I do a group coaching call, so 10 to 11. At 11:30, I do a VIP mastermind group. That's 11 people. We meet once a week. And that's longer than an hour, just because of the nature of that. That can go between usually an hour and a half, plus or minus, but an hour and a half, no longer than 2 hours. Then at 2 o'clock, I have a mentee call that is 2 to 3. Doesn't usually last that long. Then I do work on the roll-up that Dan and I are doing, and fill the afternoon with that. And then at 7 p.m., 7 to 8, I have another group call. So that's a typical schedule. Now, it's a little longer than most days, but it's not that much different. I think the most important thing when you do a schedule, and whether you use the Ivy Lee method, whether you use the self-journal that I've talked about a lot, the night before, sit down and write the most important things that will move your needle the most in your QLA journey. Maybe that's making LinkedIn calls, maybe it's sending emails, maybe it's talking to acquisition targets, and actually lay that out the night before. And it's one thing to put a to-do list together. When typically people put a to-do list together, they put down things that they can do quickly and cross those off. It gives them a feeling of accomplishment. But don't end up doing that. What you should end up doing is write down the numbers of items in order that will help you get to where you want to get to the best. Sometimes that could take a whole day and you only accomplish one thing. Most of the time that's going to not be the case. But go ahead and write those down the night before, and there is nothing wrong, in fact there's a lot right, with making an appointment with yourself. So from 6 until 7, I'm going to go ahead and send LinkedIn messages. There's a tendency to meet people that are external appointments on time, hopefully. But when it comes to yourself, you say, well, I can do that later tonight. I feel like doing this now. But keep to those appointments just as feverishly as you would external appointments. So if you do that, if the night before you write down the 3 or the 6 things that are most important for you, and then go ahead and accomplish those things in order. If you don't accomplish them, move the things that haven't been accomplished to the next day, reorder them again the night before. And if you do that and you work those and you're consistently working the things that'll move the needle the most, you will find that your progress is a lot better. And you'll also find that if you put down the time next to each thing, you're probably not going to put down 2 hours YouTube, 2 hours Facebook, the things that creep in and take so much time. So that's a feel, Blake, for my schedule. I am usually, and people who have corresponded with me will tell you this, I'm very quick to reply. Doesn't take me very long. That doesn't mean that I don't put other things in front of replying. Again, you could spend, and I could certainly spend all day just replying to emails and not get the most important things done, like the roll-up that Dan and I are working now. So I hope that helps, but most important is schedule it. It's one thing to say tomorrow I want to work out, for instance. It's another thing to say tomorrow at 6 a.m. I want to work out. You have a much better chance of getting it done if you, one, write it down, two, put a time next to it, and put all of those in order of priority. So, Blake, I thank you for that question. I hope it was helpful, and I would encourage you all to go ahead, get a schedule, write down the most important things, put a time next to it, and make an appointment with yourself. That's a powerful thing to do.